everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about some of my reading goals and bookish intentions for the year of 2024. So as a bit of a backstory, I stopped reading from about 2018 to maybe like 2021. I think I probably got back into reading in like 2022, and I've been reading pretty consistently for those 2 years. So I figured it made sense for me to think about what I've read, think about what I want to be reading, and be a bit more intentional with my reading for 2024. So I'm going to go through all of the bookish kind of intentions and goals that I have for the year. One thing that I want to do is be less influenced. Over the past few years, I've got a pretty good idea of the things that I do like. I think I really want to get to a place where I read more books that personally interest me. I think I want to be a bit more selective with what I do read now that I feel like I have a better idea of the things that I really do like. Although I feel like I'm still kind of figuring it out, but you know, I think that'll happen at the same time. Like, I just want that feeling of picking up a book, reading the synopsis and being like, does this sound like something I'd be interested in, and being excited about that, rather than picking up books because of I've heard this is good or this is good or this is good. And while I really like hearing other people's opinions on books, and I will still continue to pick books up because of other people like them, I think I want to focus a little bit more on what things they really like about them and whether they also are things that I really like, because I can appreciate when someone else likes something in a book and can be really hyped up about it, but it's not the same for me. Or they might really like something but I might not like it the same way. So yeah, I just want to read more books that appeal to the things that I know that I really like and enjoy in books, and just be a little bit less influenced. Another thing is I want to make some time to get through some of the bigger books that are on my TBR, and a lot of my big fantasy and classics that I have waiting to be read, and that I do really want to get to. They are things that I'll read the back of, I'll read the blurbs of these books and I'll be like, they sound like something I really love. But I think I just need to get over that big book fear. Getting over big book fear. That's what this is. So there's books that just have, they're like 500 pages, over 500 pages. And it's just that thing of, do I want to commit to this book when it's so long? Do I want to invest this much time? And when you get to like the halfway point of that book, you're like, you have to kind of keep going. Feels like you do. I'm not a big DNFer after a certain point. I'm very much a DNFer within the first 50 to 100 pages. I'll be like, nope, this isn't for me. I'm not feeling it at the moment. But when you get halfway, I feel like in a big book, you just have to keep going because you've already invested the time. And I think that's where probably the aversion to big books comes from. But I think I really enjoy really longer books. So last year I read Demon Copperhead, which was a massive book, but I really loved it. And I think in a bigger book you do kind of get that characterization and richness in the story and the characters that you don't get all the time from a shorter book. So I'm deciding 2024 is the year that I read all the really long books and get over my big book fear. Thank you. I believe in me, and if anyone else has big book fear, I believe in you too. And then on a similar kind of vein, another thing that I really want to do is kind of take more time to make notes and write my thoughts out while I'm reading, because sometimes I'll be reading a book, I'll think about something, I'll be thinking about what's happening, but I don't write it down, and eventually when I finish the book, at whatever point I finish it, I will forgot like some of the things that I thought, or I have to really think back and be like, what did I think here? Like, what was I thinking at this point? What was my initial reaction? Or what was happening? What was I thinking here? And then I just kind of lose it, or I forget. And I feel like if I have something where I'm writing down my thoughts or just keeping track of them a bit, I really want to do that just so it helps me when I do kind of having to form an opinion fully on a book. I've downloaded this app. I think it's called like Bookmori. I'll leave the name up here somewhere. But it's kind of like there's a function where you can input in notes as you're reading, and you can put like the page number, and it all kind of like piles it up under the book. It's kind of like a Goodreads but slightly different, and I find it easier and better to use in terms of keeping track of notes for each book and what you thought and things like that. And you can insert text, you can insert pictures. This isn't sponsored, but I've been trying to use that as I've been reading, because I usually have my phone when I'm reading. I usually have my phone around somewhere, and I can do it anywhere. If I'm like listening to an audiobook somewhere, or if I'm away from home, I can just write the notes down in the app, which is a bit easier than having, say, like a physical journal that I have to write everything in. But yeah, I think having somewhere where I write everything about what I'm thinking other than my notes app, which is what I've used before when I've been thinking about what my opinion is on a book. Because I use my notes app, but I think it would be good to have a place where I can just see all the books I've read and all of the notes as I was thinking them, like what I was thinking at different points in the book, and just so I can formulate a better opinion on it. Kind of following on from my reading bigger books and taking longer to get through books, I've decided that my Goodreads and just general reading goal this year is going to be 52 books, which is one a week, which is, I think, perfectly doable for me. I know everyone reads at different speeds, which for me, I think 52 books is quite easy for me to achieve. I think I set my goal last year to 60, and it was, moments that I felt a little bit stressed. I was like, how am I going to reach this goal? I need to hurry up. But I think 52 is it's a nice number because it's how many weeks there are in the year. So it's one a week, and I think I can reasonably achieve it and also read a range of books, read some longer books, read some shorter books, and not feel too stressed out about it. I think in general, I don't really feel too stressed about Goodreads reading challenges the same way other people seem to. I think setting it a little bit higher did get to me a little bit last year. I hear so many people being like, oh, I really need to I need to start reading more. I need to read more because if I'm not going to reach my goal. And I'm just like, no, just let it go. It's just a goal. It doesn't matter. I know sometimes when you take a longer time on a book as well, you feel more immersed in it than if you just read it through in a day. Obviously depending on the story, but I just think some books they deserve to have time spent on them, and you just get to live in the world for longer, especially if it's I think more of an escapist book. It feels a bit better to have it over a longer period of time. One thing that I really also want to get back into reading is non-fiction books. I think I read one last year and I really loved it. I gave it 5 stars. In my break from reading, as I am calling it, the only books I really read were some short fiction and also some non-fictions that I picked up. And I really like non-fiction. I think you really learn things from non-fiction. Even if it's a memoir, you're still learning about things and reading from someone else's perspective. But yeah, I want to read some more non-fiction again. I've got some self-help books on my TBR for this year, which I guess are non-fiction, which I'm hoping to get through because I've had them for a while. I also want to just read some more that I think are interesting on different topics. So I have some about authors as well, which I think will be really interesting. I think I've got a Shakespeare one and Jane Austen maybe. I think it's a Jane Austen memoir. So a non-fiction book about Shakespeare and Jane Austen. So I think those will be really interesting just to kind of get the backstory on those kind of authors that are well known in the literary canon. I feel I'll just see what I feel like through the year and just pick up different things. And then kind of bookish related but not directly reading related, I want to stop being such a lurker on videos and actually leave more comments on videos and interact with more people. It just feels better to leave the comment rather than just click off the video and be like, that was a good video to myself, because of isn't that kind of the point of that people make booktube videos, is to connect with other people and start a bit of a conversation. I'm trying my best to do that a bit more in 2024, even if it's just saying something like, I really enjoyed this, thumbs up. I know that I appreciate when I get comments on my videos, so I'm sure everyone else does. I think that's all of my reading and bookish goals that I have. I'm trying not to make it too long because I don't want it to be too extensive and overwhelming and too many different things going on. So I've kept it quite simple. I think these are things that I can kind of, incorporate in and try to do over the year with no pressure. Also outside of reading, although I feel if you like reading, you like storytelling. And if you like storytelling, you also probably have some interest in film. So this year I've made a Letterboxd account, which is kind of like Goodreads but for film. And I'm going to try and keep track of every film that I watch. I've marked a bunch of them, mostly horror films that I've watched and liked and or remember watching and have an opinion on. This year, I'm going to try and make sure that I track and rate every film that I see, which I think is also going to make me want to go to the cinema more and make me watch more films in general and appreciate them a little bit more, just be a bit more analytical, which I think will be fun. I have one of those passes for the cinema that's monthly, so I really should use it more often, although you only really have to go once to kind of make it worth your time. If you go twice, it's basically getting a free ticket. That is something I'm trying to do a bit more as well, which should be fun. If you have a Letterboxd account, let me know, because I don't follow anyone on there and no one I know has one, so I'm reaching out everywhere trying to be someone have a Letterboxd account. I want a Letterboxd friend. It's really fun and really interesting. It's like Goodreads when you see everyone's opinion on books, but you see it on films, which I feel like is new to me, so I'm excited for that. That's everything. All of my goals and intentions for 2024. Let me know what your goals and intentions are for 2024. Let me know what other bookish goals you have, if any. Are you having a more chill year? Are you trying to read more of a certain genre? I think a lot of people are kind of like moving away from the reading so much in every month and reading so much in a year, and trying to focus a bit more on quality and value regardless of how much you do or don't read. Thank you so much for watching and spending time here. If you want to see more from me, you can subscribe. Here's to a good reading year in 2024, and thank you for watching. Have a nice day. Bye.